right, trunk floor drop-offs. Here's my dilemma. Okay, I think looking at these, this area here is not nearly as tight as the stock drop-offs. So when I put it up in here, I've got just a little bit of interference with the shaker bracket under here. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, here we go. Let's try to get it in this way. And you can see it's just not quite right. Now, I gotta believe that hanging that out that far is gonna cause me headaches later on. I'd like to get this as tight as possible right now. But yeah, this return all the way through here seems fatter than the one on my the stock versions that I took off. So I'm gonna try a couple things. Last resort is I'll trim this return off if I have to. I don't really want to, but if I got to pull that off, I will. But you know, it's important that all this fits right, or you're just gonna fight it the rest of the way. I don't know. I'm gonna keep poking at this a little bit, and when I come up with something, I'll bring you back. But that's the problem I'm having to address today. So also in these drop-offs, the first thing I'm gonna do is tap this return in a bit, get it flattened out, you know, per Juby's suggestions. Same thing with this, try to sharpen up that edge a little. I did reach out this morning to John at Vinyl Village Garage, who got back to me right away, as usual, and asked him about this. He said that when he did his, those plates came already mounted on the floor pan. Dynacorn provides them that way. I wish I had done that before. I think Ken from Paradise Bay Customs also did that. Has a Dynacorn trunk floor pan setup that came with the shaker brackets already installed, which may or may not have helped to alleviate this problem. But it doesn't really change the fact that I have to deal with this. But if I do another one of these, you can bet I will get the Dynacorn floor pans. Just because I've heard a lot of really good things about Dynacorn, but the fact that they include that bracket just makes everything a little easier. So anyway, I'm going to carry on here and see what I come up with. Okay, this side wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was able to tap that return a little bit on the shaker bracket, just kind of lean it in a little. And then after, you know, this little point down here needs to be cleaned up right in here. And once I got that cleaned up, all I had to do was clearance, sharpen up the bend in here just a tad. It was kind of lazy. Once I brought that in, it kind of came into it. The only thing I'm considering now is, you know, this is pretty typical, right? I mean, this is a flat edge, this is rounded. If I was to split this right here a little bit, I could draw that in a little tighter right in here. It's tight at that end, it's tight at this end. The only thing I can think to do is split it just a little bit, draw that in. I'm not sure I have any more clearance under there for that to accommodate that. And I might get another 1/8 out of it. Just, you know, straighten that a little bit here by splitting that. I don't know any other way to do it. But yeah, if I just split this, push that in, you know, weld that back up, collapse it a bit, that might get me just a little tighter through here. I don't even know if I need it. I'm just thinking that if I can get that tighter, get this more in line with this surface more in line with this plane or edge, then it may help me down the road, either with the tail panel, the tail panel brace, or possibly even the quarter right here might be held out by this. But it's not the end of the world. If the quarter's held out, I can take a little off. Typically these don't rest right on the edge of the quarter anyway. There's a little gap there. So yeah, I might try splitting that just to tighten it up a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with what I've got so far. I think I can make it by just splitting this, dropping this in maybe another 1/8, and then going from there. So yeah, that's what I'll give that a shot and see what happens. Okay, this works. So I just put a little slit here, work this edge back carefully, just give it a little bit of an angle. It's not going to hurt anything. I'll weld this seam up. Then I split this just about in the same spot, and I'll weld that up, but now everything fits pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll go from there. I'll get this welded up, screw this one in, and move to the other side. Looks like the same method's going to work fine over here on the passenger side, but as you know, as Roger has pointed out on his 68 and Juby, Roger, Mr. Fireman, and Juby, Amazing Sheet Metal, both of them pointed out that for some reason you got to split this passenger side one to draw it in, and you can quite clearly see that is the case, no mistaking it. So once I get that drawn in, should be pretty good. So I think I got clearance. I clearanced the return enough. Just again, put a little split in that on the bracket, laid it over a little bit, and it seems to work fine now. So apparently the fix was a lot easier than I was thinking it would be. So yeah, I'm gonna split this panel, get this sorted out, and we'll go from there. Okay, got the drops in. This one was pretty much the same story. I don't think I really needed to release them as much on the bottom, is because once I put this piece in, it's holding them out a fair amount. I'm not gonna weld anything until I get the quarter panels ready to go, but these edges were fairly well defined on the inner panel, so it's kind of constraining everything, but we'll see. Once the quarters go on and I get an idea how they wrap around the bottom there, I may have to mess with that a bit. This still got to be pushed in a bit, but I did drop a couple screws in it. It didn't really want to stay in there floating very well, so I'll address that after. Right now I think I'm gonna flip this thing over, do a little bit more sanding, grinding, and priming on the bottom, because this might be one of the last chances I get to do work on the floor upside down by itself without the body attached. So I think I'm going to do that and grab some lunch and try that out next, I guess.